Roy Kelton Orbison was born on April 23, 1936 in Vernon, Texas, a small town surrounded by the wide open spaces of the American South. The son of Orby Lee Orbison, an oil worker, an amateur musician, and Nadine Schultz, a nurse, Roy grew up in a working-class household that valued hard work and resilience. Despite the hardships of the Great Depression, the Orbison family maintained a strong sense of community and a deep appreciation for music, which would shape Roy's destiny. From an early age, Roy exhibited a natural affinity for music. By the age of 6, he was already singing at family gatherings, his voice impressing relatives and friends with its clarity and emotional depth. Recognizing his potential, Roy's father gifted him a guitar on his 6th birthday, igniting a lifelong passion. He quickly mastered the basics of the instrument, and by the time he was in elementary school, he was performing with a confidence far beyond his years. As Roy grew older, his love for music deepened. The family's radio became a portal to the outside world, exposing him to the sounds of country, blues, and gospel music. He was particularly inspired by artists like Jimmie Rodgers, Hank Williams, and Lefty Frizzell, whose heartfelt lyrics and plaintive melodies resonated with the young Texan. These early influences would later shape Roy's unique sound, blending traditional country roots with a rich, operatic vocal style. In 1942, the Orbison family moved to Wink, Texas, a dusty oil town where Roy spent much of his childhood. Life in Wink was tough, and Roy often described it as a place where the only tree was in the front yard of the jail. Despite the bleak surroundings, Roy found solace in music. He formed his first band, the Wink Westerners, while still in high school. The group, which consisted of Roy and his friends, performed covers of country and Western hits at local dances, school events, and radio stations. Their charm and raw talent quickly made them a local favorite. While Roy's musical talent was undeniable, his introverted and shy nature set him apart from other performers. He was known for his quiet demeanor and thick, horn-rimmed glasses, which he began wearing at an early age due to poor eyesight. These traits, combined with his distinctive voice, gave him an aura of mystery that would later become one of his trademarks. Roy's determination to pursue a career in music grew stronger as he entered his teenage years. Encouraged by his family and friends, he enrolled at North Texas State College, now the University of North Texas, to study geology, a practical choice given Wink's ties to the oil industry. However, Roy's heart was not in academics. He soon realized that music was his true calling and left college to focus on his burgeoning career. In the early 1950s, the Wink Westerners began gaining regional recognition. The band's ability to blend country with emerging rockabilly sounds caught the attention of local radio stations, earning them regular airplay and performance opportunities. It was during this time that Roy honed his songwriting skills, experimenting with melodies and lyrics that reflected his personal experiences and emotions. A pivotal moment in Roy's early career came when the Wink Westerners secured a spot on a weekly television show in Odessa, Texas. Their televised performances brought them to a broader audience and attracted the attention of influential figures in the music industry. Among them was Johnny Cash, who encouraged Roy to contact Sam Phillips at Sun Records in Memphis, Tennessee, a move that would soon change the course of his life. By the mid-1950s, rock and roll was sweeping across America, transforming the music landscape and creating new opportunities for young artists like Roy Orbison. Influenced by the genre's energy and rebellious spirit, Roy began incorporating rockabilly elements into his music, marking the beginning of his evolution as a performer and songwriter. His transition from country to rock and roll was seamless, showcasing his versatility and willingness to adapt to changing musical trends. Though still in the early stages of his career, Roy's talent and dedication were evident to anyone who heard him sing. His voice, a soaring, operatic tenor capable of conveying profound emotion, was unlike anything else in popular music. Even during these formative years, it was clear that Roy Orbison was destined for greatness. As Roy prepared to take his first steps into the national spotlight, he carried with him the lessons learned from his humble beginnings in Texas. The resilience, humility, and passion for music instilled in him during his early life would serve as the foundation for a career that would leave an indelible mark on the world. In 1956, Roy Orbison's determination and talent led him to Memphis, Tennessee, the home of Sun Records, a label that had already launched the careers of rock and roll pioneers like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis. Encouraged by Johnny Cash, Roy contacted Sam Phillips, the founder of Sun Records, who recognized the young Texan's potential and signed him to the label. This partnership marked the beginning of Roy's rise in the burgeoning rockabilly scene. Roy's initial work at Sun Records reflected the energetic, rebellious spirit of the era. His early recordings were heavily influenced by rockabilly, a genre that combined the raw energy of rock and roll with the twang of country music. Songs like Ooby Dooby showcased Roy's knack for catchy melodies and lively performances. Released in 1956, Ooby Dooby became Roy's first charting single, reaching No. 59 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning him his first taste of national recognition. The success of Ooby Dooby led to a series of recording sessions at Sun Records, where Roy worked alongside some of the most innovative producers and musicians of the time. However, the collaboration between Roy and Sam Phillips was not without its challenges. While Phillips was known for his ability to capture raw, dynamic performances, Roy's vision often leaned toward more polished and melodically complex arrangements. This creative tension highlighted the dichotomy between Roy's operatic vocal style and the rough-edged rockabilly sound favored by Sun Records. Despite these differences, Roy continued to record a series of singles during his time at Sun, including Rock House and Devil Doll. While these tracks showcase his versatility and enthusiasm for experimentation, they failed to achieve the commercial success of Ooby Dooby. Roy's frustration with the lack of a breakthrough hit began to grow, leading him to question whether Sun Records was the right fit for his artistic ambitions. During this period, Roy toured extensively across the United States, performing in dance halls, theaters, and honky-tonks. He shared stages with some of the biggest names in rock and roll, including Elvis Presley and Carl Perkins, and quickly earned a reputation as a talented and reliable performer. However, the grueling schedule of constant touring took its toll on Roy, both physically and emotionally. Roy's distinctive stage presence began to take shape during these early tours. While many rock and roll performers of the time were known for their high-energy antics and flashy moves, Roy stood apart with his understated style. Dressed in dark suits and often wearing sunglasses, Roy's enigmatic demeanor drew audiences in, allowing his powerful voice and heartfelt lyrics to take center stage. Although Roy was gaining recognition as a performer, his career at Sun Records struggled to gain traction. The label's focus on rockabilly hits clashed with Roy's desire to explore more complex themes and arrangements. By 1958, it had become clear that Sun Records could no longer provide the creative freedom Roy needed to fully realize his potential. Roy parted ways with the label, ending a pivotal chapter in his career. After leaving Sun Records, Roy began exploring opportunities to expand his sound and reach new audiences. He briefly signed with RCA Victor and worked with legendary producer Chet Atkins, whose polished approach to production resonated with Roy's artistic sensibilities. During this time, Roy recorded a handful of singles including Almost 18 and Paperboy, which hinted at the more sophisticated style he would later develop. Despite these efforts, Roy's career remained in a state of transition. The late 1950s were a challenging time for many early rock and roll artists as the genre began to evolve and audiences sought fresh sounds. For Roy, this period was marked by both frustration and determination as he sought to find his place in a rapidly changing musical landscape. While Roy's time at Sun Records did not produce the string of hits he had hoped for, it provided him with invaluable experience and exposure. His distinctive voice, unique stage presence, and commitment to his craft began to attract the attention of industry insiders who recognized his potential to stand out in a crowded field. During these formative years, Roy also honed his songwriting skills, crafting melodies and lyrics that reflected his own emotions and experiences. His ability to convey vulnerability and longing through his music would become a hallmark of his later work, setting him apart from the more exuberant rock and roll acts of the time. As the 1950s came to a close, Roy found himself at a crossroads. While he had yet to achieve the widespread success he dreamed of, his perseverance and dedication to his art laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most remarkable comebacks in music history. With the dawn of the 1960s on the horizon, Roy Orbison was poised to redefine his sound, embrace his unique identity, and capture the hearts of audiences around the world. The 1960s marked a transformative period in Roy Orbison's career as he moved from relative obscurity to international stardom. After years of struggling to find his artistic voice, Roy signed with Monument Records in 1960, a decision that would prove pivotal. Under the guidance of producer Fred Foster, Roy began to craft a sound that fused operatic vocal techniques with lush instrumentation, resulting in some of the most iconic songs in popular music history. Roy's partnership with Monument Records gave him the creative freedom he had long sought. Fred Foster recognized the uniqueness of Roy's voice and encouraged him to experiment with new musical arrangements and themes. Unlike the rockabilly-focused Sun Records, Monument allowed Roy to embrace a more sophisticated and emotional style, incorporating elements of orchestral pop and operatic drama. The first fruits of this collaboration were apparent in Only the Lonely Know How I Feel, released in 1960. Co-written by Roy and Joe Melson, the song showcased his ability to convey deep vulnerability and longing through his soaring tenor voice. The innovative production featured sweeping strings, a doo-wop-inspired chorus, and a dynamic vocal performance that alternated between hushed verses and dramatic crescendos. Only the Lonely became an instant hit, reaching No. 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and establishing Roy as a major star. Building on the success of Only the Lonely, Roy and Fred Foster continued to refine a signature sound that emphasized emotional storytelling and cinematic arrangements. Roy's songs often followed a unique structure, beginning with quiet introspection before building to powerful climaxes. This formula allowed him to fully exploit the range and power of his voice, creating a sense of drama and intensity that captivated listeners. One of Roy's most celebrated songs from this period was Crying, 1961, another collaboration with Joe Melson. The song explored themes of heartbreak and unrequited love, with Roy delivering a vocal performance that was both tender and overwhelming in its emotional depth. Crying reached No. 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and solidified Roy's reputation as a master of the power ballad. Another standout hit was Blue Bayou, 1963, a melancholic yet melodic song that showcased Roy's ability to evoke a sense of place and atmosphere. Its gentle rhythm and evocative lyrics made it one of his most enduring tracks, later covered by artists like Linda Ronstadt. In 1961, Roy released Running Scared, a song that broke away from conventional pop structures. Co-written with Joe Melson, the track featured no repeating chorus, instead building steadily to a dramatic finale. Roy's performance on Running Scared was breathtaking, with his voice climbing to an unrelenting crescendo that left listeners spellbound. The song became Roy's first No. 1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, demonstrating his willingness to take creative risks and redefine the boundaries of pop music. By the early 1960s, Roy Orbison had become a global sensation. His music resonated deeply with audiences in the United States, the United Kingdom, and beyond, earning him a devoted fan base and widespread acclaim. His distinctive voice and emotionally charged songs set him apart from his contemporaries, earning him the nickname the Caruso of Rock for his operatic vocal style. Roy's success extended to live performances where his stage presence, marked by his dark sunglasses, somber demeanor, and powerful voice, further enhanced his mystique. Unlike the energetic performances of many rock and roll stars, Roy's shows were understated and focused entirely on the music. Audiences were captivated by his ability to convey complex emotions with such authenticity and power. While Roy's vocal talent was unparalleled, his songwriting partnerships played a crucial role in his success. Collaborators like Joe Melson and Bill Dees helped him craft songs that balance emotional resonance with universal appeal. In 1964, Roy and Bill Dees co-wrote Oh Pretty Woman, a playful and infectious rock anthem that showcased a lighter side of Roy's artistry. With its instantly recognizable guitar riff and unforgettable chorus, Oh Pretty Woman became one of Roy's biggest hits, topping the charts in multiple countries and solidifying his place as a pop icon. By 1964, Roy Orbison was at the pinnacle of his career. His string of hits, including In Dreams, It's Over, and Oh Pretty Woman, had made him one of the most successful and respected artists of the decade. In Dreams, released in 1963, was particularly notable for its surreal lyrics and dreamlike quality, showcasing Roy's ability to push the boundaries of traditional songwriting. The success of these songs also brought Roy opportunities to tour with other major acts of the time. In 1963, he joined the Beatles on a UK tour, where he was initially slated to open for the Rising Stars. However, Roy's commanding performances and immense popularity often led to calls for multiple encores, cementing his status as a peer rather than a supporting act. The Monument Records era marked the most prolific and creatively fulfilling period of Roy Orbison's career. His ability to convey vulnerability and passion through his music resonated deeply with listeners, earning him a place among the most iconic voices of the 20th century. Songs like Crying, Running Scared, and Oh Pretty Woman remain timeless classics, celebrated for their innovation and emotional depth. As the 1960s progressed, Roy's career would face new challenges and changes, but his achievements during this period established him as a legend in the music world. His unique blend of operatic drama, heartfelt storytelling, and innovative production set a standard that continues to influence artists across genres. By the mid-1960s, Roy Orbison had firmly established himself as one of the most celebrated and unique voices in popular music. The global success of hits like Oh Pretty Woman and Crying had catapulted him to international stardom, earning him a devoted fan base across continents. During his period, Roy experienced some of the most significant triumphs of his career, even as the music industry underwent rapid changes. The massive success of Oh Pretty Woman in 1964, which topped charts in multiple countries, marked a career high for Roy. Its upbeat tempo, iconic guitar riff, and playful lyrics showcased a different side of his artistry, resonating with a broader audience. The song's universal appeal turned Roy into a global phenomenon, solidifying his status as a pop icon. Capitalizing on his rising fame, Roy embarked on extensive international tours. One of the most notable was his 1963 tour of the United Kingdom, where he shared the bill with the Beatles. Initially slated as the headliner, Roy graciously allowed the Beatles to close the shows as their popularity skyrocketed. Despite this, Roy's performances were so powerful that he often received standing ovations and multiple encores, earning the admiration of the Beatles themselves. John Lennon and Paul McCartney later cited Roy as a major influence on their songwriting, with his emotive style and unconventional song structures leaving a lasting impression. Roy's success in Europe extended beyond the UK. In countries like Germany, France, and Australia, his records topped charts, and his concerts drew massive crowds. Unlike many of his peers, Roy's appeal transcended language barriers, as the emotional depth of his music resonated universally. Back in the United States, Roy's star continued to rise. His haunting ballad In Dreams, released in 1963, became a defining song of his career. Its surreal lyrics and shifting melodies set it apart from conventional pop songs, showcasing Roy's willingness to experiment with structure and narrative. In Dreams became a staple of his live performances and would later gain renewed fame when it was featured in David Lynch's 1986 film Blue Velvet. During this period, Roy also achieved success in the world of film. In 1964, he starred in the movie The Fastest Guitar Alive, a musical comedy in which he played a singing cowboy armed with a guitar that doubled as a machine gun. While the film received mixed reviews, it highlighted Roy's versatility and willingness to explore new creative avenues. The soundtrack featured several original songs, adding to his already impressive catalog. As Roy's fame grew, so did his mystique. His signature dark sunglasses, which he began wearing due to poor eyesight and stage fright, became an iconic part of his image. Combined with his all-black wardrobe and reserved stage demeanor, the sunglasses added an air of mystery that set him apart from other performers of the era. Unlike many rock and roll artists, Roy rarely moved energetically on stage. Instead, he stood still and let his voice do the work, captivating audiences with its power and emotion. This understated style allowed the focus to remain on the music, further enhancing his reputation as a serious and sophisticated artist. On a personal level, the mid-1960s were a period of happiness and stability for Roy. He was deeply devoted to his wife, Claudette Frady, whom he married in 1957. Claudette often joined him on tour, and the couple's love story became a source of inspiration for Roy's music. The song Claudette, written by Roy and popularized by the Everly Brothers, was a tribute to her. The Orbisons were also building a family with the birth of their two sons, Roy Jr. and Anthony, adding joy and fulfillment to their lives. Despite the demands of his career, Roy remained a dedicated husband and father, often finding ways to bring his family along on tour or spend time with them between performances. While Roy was enjoying unprecedented success, the music industry was undergoing significant changes. The British invasion, led by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, was reshaping the musical landscape, bringing new styles and trends to the forefront. Though Roy's unique sound set him apart, he faced increasing pressure to adapt to the evolving tastes of audiences. Roy responded to these challenges by continuing to innovate. His music during this period reflected a blend of traditional balladry and contemporary influences, ensuring that he remained relevant while staying true to his artistic identity. Songs like It's Over, 1964, exemplified his ability to evolve while maintaining the emotional depth that defined his work. By 1966, Roy Orbison had reached the zenith of his career. His string of chart-topping hits, international acclaim, and influence on his peers cemented his place as one of the most important artists of his generation. He was recognized not only for his extraordinary voice, but also for his ability to convey profound emotion through his music. As the decade progressed, however, Roy's life would take a dramatic turn. While the mid-1960s represented a time of triumph and joy, the years ahead would bring personal tragedy and professional challenges that tested his resilience. Despite these hardships, Roy's legacy as a trailblazer and icon of popular music was firmly established. The late 1960s and 1970s were a turbulent period for Roy Orbison. While he had achieved global fame and critical acclaim during the early part of the decade, the latter half was marked by personal tragedy, professional setbacks, and a changing music landscape. These years tested Roy's resilience and determination as he faced heartbreak and struggled to maintain his place in a rapidly evolving industry. Roy's life was forever changed on June 6, 1966, when his wife, Claudette Frady Orbison, died in a motorcycle accident. Claudette had been riding with Roy on a motorcycle near their home in Tennessee when a truck collided with her bike. The loss of Claudette was devastating for Roy, who had often described her as his muse and a source of stability in his life. Her death cast a long shadow over his music and personal life, leaving him grief-stricken and struggling to cope. Just 2 years later, Roy faced another unimaginable tragedy. On September 14, 1968, a fire broke out at his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, claiming the lives of his two eldest sons, Roy Jr. and Anthony. The fire destroyed the family's home and left Roy reeling from the loss of his children. The twin tragedies of losing his wife and sons had a profound impact on Roy, who channeled his grief into his music but found it increasingly difficult to sustain his career. As Roy grappled with personal loss, the music industry was undergoing significant changes. The rise of new genres such as psychedelic rock, heavy metal, and disco shifted audience tastes, leaving many traditional pop and rock artists struggling to adapt. Roy's style of emotional balladry, once a dominant force in the early 1960s, seemed increasingly out of place in the era of The Doors, Led Zeppelin, and Donna Summer. Compounding these challenges was the fact that Roy's record sales began to decline during this period. While his earlier hits continued to enjoy popularity, his new releases struggled to chart. Albums like The Orbison Way and Cry's Softly Lonely One received lukewarm receptions, failing to capture the attention of a younger audience. Roy's career difficulties were further exacerbated by issues with his record label. His contract with Monument Records had ended in 1965, and he subsequently signed with MGM Records, a move that initially seemed promising. However, MGM's focus on quantity over quality led to the release of a string of albums that lacked the polish and innovation of Roy's earlier work. Many of these records were rushed into production, resulting in uneven quality and diminishing critical and commercial returns. Despite these setbacks, Roy remained committed to his craft. He continued to tour extensively, performing for loyal fans who appreciated his timeless hits and enduring stage presence. His live shows were a testament to his resilience, showcasing his ability to connect with audiences even as his career faced challenges. Amid the turmoil, Roy found love again. In 1969, he married Barbara Jacobs, a German-born woman who brought renewed joy and companionship into his life. The couple would go on to have 3 sons together: Roy Kelton Orbison Jr., Alexander Orbison, and Wesley Orbison. Barbara became a pillar of support for Roy, helping him navigate the personal and professional challenges he faced during this difficult period. In addition to his personal and professional struggles, Roy began to experience health problems that further complicated his career. Years of smoking and a demanding schedule took a toll on his voice, reducing his range and power. While Roy's vocal ability remained impressive by most standards, he often felt that he was not performing at his best. Despite these difficulties, Roy remained hopeful about the future. He continued to write and record music, experimenting with different styles and production techniques in an effort to recapture the magic of his earlier successes. Though many of these efforts went unnoticed by the mainstream, they reflected Roy's enduring passion for music and his refusal to give up. Throughout this challenging decade, Roy maintained a devoted fan base that continued to support him. His early hits remained staples on radio playlists, and his concerts were well attended by fans who cherished his contributions to music. For many, Roy's ability to persevere in the face of adversity was a testament to his strength of character and dedication to his art. By the late 1970s, Roy began to see glimmers of hope for a career resurgence. A new generation of musicians, including Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty, expressed admiration for Roy's work, citing him as a major influence. These endorsements helped reintroduce Roy's music to younger audiences and set the stage for the comeback that would define the final chapter of his life. Despite the challenges of this period, Roy Orbison never lost his love for music or his determination to create. His story during these years is one of resilience and the unbreakable bond between an artist and his craft, even in the face of profound loss and changing fortunes. After a challenging decade of personal loss and professional struggles, Roy Orbison experienced an extraordinary resurgence in his career during the late 1970s and 1980s. With the support of a new generation of fans and collaborators, Roy not only reclaimed his place in the music industry, but also cemented his legacy as a timeless and influential artist. This period marked one of the most triumphant chapters of his life, culminating in his membership in the supergroup, the Traveling Wilburys, and the release of some of his most celebrated late-career works. The seeds of Roy's comeback were planted in the late 1970s as musicians and fans began to rediscover his early hits. Artists like Bruce Springsteen, Linda Ronstadt, and Elvis Costello openly cited Roy as a major influence, drawing attention to his unparalleled voice and emotive storytelling. Linda Ronstadt's 1977 cover of Blue Bayou became a massive hit, reaching No. 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and introducing Roy's music to a new generation of listeners. Roy's live performances during this period were pivotal in re-establishing his connection with audiences. Despite health challenges and years away from the mainstream spotlight, Roy's voice remained a remarkable instrument capable of conveying both vulnerability and grandeur. His concerts became celebrations of his enduring artistry, with fans eagerly embracing his timeless hits. By the early 1980s, Roy's contributions to music were beginning to be recognized on a larger scale. In 1980, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, an honor that celebrated his remarkable ability to craft songs that resonated deeply with listeners. This recognition was followed by his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987, where he was introduced by Bruce Springsteen, who described him as the voice of dreams. Roy's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was a testament to the enduring impact of his music. It highlighted his role as a pioneer of rock and roll and a master of the power ballad, influencing countless artists across genres and generations. A key moment in Roy's comeback occurred in 1986 when David Lynch's film Blue Velvet prominently featured In Dreams in its soundtrack. The haunting and surreal use of the song introduced Roy's music to a new audience and underscored its timeless appeal. The inclusion of In Dreams in Blue Velvet revitalized interest in Roy's catalog, sparking a wave of rediscovery among younger fans. Around the same time, Roy's appearance in television specials and tribute concerts further bolstered his public profile. These appearances showcase his ability to command attention and evoke powerful emotions, reminding audiences of the unique qualities that have made him a star. In 1988, Roy Orbison became part of the Traveling Wilburys, a supergroup that included George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne. The group formed serendipitously, beginning as a casual collaboration between friends before evolving into a full-fledged project. Each member adopted a pseudonym for the group, with Roy taking on the name Lefty Wilbury as a nod to his roots in country and rockabilly. The Traveling Wilburys released their debut album, Traveling Wilburys Vol. 1, in 1988. The album was a commercial and critical success, blending the distinctive styles of its members into a cohesive and joyful collection of songs. Roy's contributions, including his soaring vocals on Handle with Care and Not Alone Anymore, were widely praised, reminding the world of his extraordinary talent. The camaraderie and mutual respect among the members of the Traveling Wilburys brought out the best in each artist, creating a project that celebrated friendship, creativity, and musical excellence. For Roy, the experience was particularly meaningful, as it marked a return to the collaborative spirit of his early career and provided a platform for his timeless voice. Roy's resurgence continued with the recording of his final solo album, Mystery Girl, produced by Jeff Lynne. Released posthumously in 1989, the album featured a blend of contemporary production and Roy's signature vocal style. The lead single, You Got It, became a global hit, reaching the top 10 in multiple countries and earning Roy his first major chart success in decades. Songs like She's a Mystery to Me, written by Bono and The Edge of You 2, showcased Roy's ability to connect with contemporary audiences while staying true to his artistic identity. Mystery Girl received widespread acclaim, serving as a fitting capstone to Roy's career and a reminder of his unparalleled contributions to music. The final years of Roy Orbison's life were marked by a profound sense of redemption and celebration. His return to prominence demonstrated the enduring power of his music and his ability to inspire listeners across generations. The support and admiration of his peers, combined with his tireless dedication to his craft, ensured that Roy's voice would continue to resonate long after his passing. On December 6, 1988, Roy Orbison passed away from a heart attack at the age of 52. While his death was a tremendous loss to the music world, his legacy had been firmly reestablished, leaving behind a body of work that remains a touchstone of emotional depth and artistic innovation. Roy Orbison's untimely death in December 1988 left a void in the music world, but his legacy has only grown stronger in the decades since. As one of the most distinctive and influential artists of the 20th century, Roy's impact can be seen in the work of countless musicians, the evolution of multiple genres, and the enduring popularity of his timeless songs. From posthumous releases to tributes and adaptations, Roy Orbison's music continues to inspire new generations. The release of Roy's final album, Mystery Girl, in February 1989 became a landmark event in the wake of his passing. The album, produced by Jeff Lynne, featured some of the most polished and emotionally resonant performances of Roy's career. Its lead single, You Got It, reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and introduced his music to younger audiences. Mystery Girl was both a commercial and critical triumph, reaffirming Roy's status as a timeless voice in popular music. Later, in 1989, Traveling Wilburys Vol. 1 continued to showcase Roy's influence and artistry, further cementing his legacy. The success of the supergroup highlighted Roy's ability to connect with other legends and play a central role in one of the most celebrated collaborations in music history. In the years following his death, Roy's family and collaborators worked to preserve and celebrate his extensive catalog. Albums such as King of Hearts in 1992, a posthumous collection of unreleased tracks and recordings, provided fans with new insights into Roy's creative process. Songs like I Drove All Night, a soaring ballad that became a global hit, underscored the enduring power of Roy's voice and his ability to evoke profound emotion. Archival projects and remastered editions of Roy's classic albums introduced his work to new audiences, ensuring that his contributions to music remained accessible in the digital age. Documentaries such as The Roy Orbison Story and Roy Orbison, Love Hurts provided intimate glimpses into his life and career, celebrating his artistry and humanity. Roy Orbison's influence on music spans genres and generations. His operatic vocal style, emotional depth, and innovative songwriting have inspired countless artists, including Bruce Springsteen, Elvis Costello, and Cad Lang. His ability to blend vulnerability with grandeur has made his music a touchstone for performers seeking to push the boundaries of emotional expression. Roy's songs have been covered by a diverse array of artists, from Linda Ronstadt's rendition of Blue Bayou to Van Halen's rock-infused version of Pretty Woman. These interpretations highlight the versatility and universality of Roy's music, which continues to resonate with listeners across cultural and musical boundaries. Over the years, Roy Orbison has been honored with numerous awards and accolades that reflect his profound impact on the music industry. In addition to his inductions into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, Roy has received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. These honors recognize his contributions as a trailblazer in rock, pop, and country music. Tribute concerts and events celebrating Roy's legacy have brought together some of the biggest names in music. Performers such as Bono, Tom Petty, and Dolly Parton have paid homage to Roy's work, emphasizing its enduring relevance and emotional power. In 2018, Roy was even the subject of a groundbreaking hologram tour in Dreams. Roy Orbison in concert, which used cutting-edge technology to recreate his performances for new audiences. Roy Orbison's music has remained a constant presence in popular culture. His songs have been featured in films, television shows, and commercials, creating moments of poignancy and nostalgia for audiences worldwide. Tracks like In Dreams and Crying have become cinematic staples, evoking deep emotional connections in everything from David Lynch's Blue Velvet to romantic dramas and animated features. Roy's distinctive image, his dark sunglasses, stoic stage presence, and understated charisma has become iconic, symbolizing a timeless cool that transcends eras. His ability to blend mystique with emotional vulnerability has made him a figure of fascination and admiration. More than 30 years after his passing, Roy Orbison's voice continues to resonate as one of the most extraordinary instruments in the history of music. His ability to convey a wide range of emotions, from heartbreak and longing to joy and triumph, ensures that his music remains deeply relevant to listeners of all ages. Roy's enduring appeal lies in his authenticity. His songs are deeply personal yet universal, reflecting the human experience in all its complexity. His willingness to take creative risks, challenge conventions, and stay true to his artistic vision has made him a source of inspiration for generations of musicians and fans. Roy Orbison's story is one of resilience, creativity, and the transformative power of music. From his humble beginnings in Texas to his global stardom and eventual resurgence, Roy's journey reflects the triumph of artistry over adversity. His legacy lives on not only in his music but also in the countless artists he has inspired and the emotional connections he continues to foster with audiences around the world. As one of the most iconic voices in the history of popular music, Roy Orbison's contributions will continue to be celebrated for generations to come. His songs remain a testament to the enduring beauty of vulnerability and the timeless power of a well-told story.